What is going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to episode 76 of the Whatnauts review show. This week we are going to be talking about Stumptown Volumes 1 and 2, but we will get to that in just a sec. In the meantime, my name is Kyle Springer, and I am joined by Melissa Wilkinson.
Hi.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm good, Kyle. How have you been this week?
My week has been pretty good. I'm trying to train myself to wake up earlier, and it is not working.
Mm-hmm.
It is not
How
a
early
thing.
do you need to wake up?
For this whole next week, I need to be at work by 9, which means I need to wake up at 7:30 to catch the bus to get there on time. And it is not happening. So look, I knew this was gonna be tough. Because I am not a morning person at all. And so I was like, all right, this weekend I will get myself up early. It'll be fantastic. I'll be tired Saturday night. I'll be tired all day Sunday. But by time Monday comes, I should be good to go, right? Woke up yesterday at 7:30, turned off my alarm and said nope, and then went right back to bed.
Yeah, live while you can.
Yeah, exactly. And I did the same thing this morning. So, oh well. What are you up to?
I did get up early yesterday.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What?
Not for anything. I just, after we finish recording on Friday, I'm just like, I'm done. No more night for me, thanks. So I just curled into bed and I just went to sleep pretty early. So I was up at 8 on Saturday, which is just an hour or two earlier than normal. And I got a bunch of housework done.
Nice.
I bought a Swiffer. I really cleaned my floors. I organized things. My podcast desk is looking all right. I hung up a shelf and I put art on the shelf.
Nice.
Being very domestic this weekend.
Fantastic. That's one of the things that I want to do with the wall behind me is get some posters or something, though I guess you could only see the bottom half of them from what I can see on the camera. But yeah, still. It's good. It's good. It's nice. Let's see. If you didn't know, ladies and gentlemen, each week here on the Whatnauts review show, we have a different story to talk about. It could be a comic book, a manga, a movie, a TV show, something else. We rate it, watch it, and do what we have to do, then come back here and talk about it. Stumptown. Volumes 1 and 2 is what we picked this week. I was hoping you would pick this one when I pitched it. And it turns out this was also kind of on your radar, or someone had mentioned it to you. And then you saw it and was like, that is a Kyle-ass book.
Yep. Yeah, it's a crime comic, which is your type of entertainment.
Exactly. I love crime shows and detective fiction and stuff like that. So this has actually been on my radar for a while, especially since it's written by Greg Rucka, who I really enjoy his work. But I wanted to pitch this one because the day that this episode goes live, there is a TV adaptation that they have been making of this comic, and it is airing on ABC. Same day. So perfect timing.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
Did this stuff. Yeah. I don't actually have cable, so maybe I can check it out on Hulu the next day or something. We'll see. But I'm excited for it nonetheless. So when I pitched this to you, and I mentioned it was a crime comic, I mentioned I really like the writer. I think I just did the comicsology, here's what this book is about. What were you envisioning in your head?
I had already given this comic a Google, and I was intrigued that the basic synopsis I had gotten was a little different than the one you had read me.
Interesting.
The synopsis I read talked about her brother, and the one you read didn't talk about her brother, but did talk about her love life.
Huh.
It's there must be a lot going on here if there's different ingredients that get mentioned in different synopses for this story.
So it mentioned her brother as in like, hey, here's a detective with a brother that she has to take care of because he has Down syndrome.
Yeah, I think it. I don't know if it was very detailed. I think it just mentioned she has a brother she takes care of. It wasn't specific. But then you read me a synopsis. It's like cool bisexual detective, and I'm like, that wasn't in the one I read.
Right.
There's so much to this lady.
Badass bisexual detective with a gambling problem. Here she is solving crimes.
Was included in my synopsis.
Instead of being gay and doing crimes, she's gay and solving crimes. Yeah, so I didn't really know what to expect with this book. I all I knew is that it was a crime comic, and that was it. So when I read you that synopsis, that was the first I had heard besides that, just because it was only on my radar because I knew the writer and was like, hey, I like his stuff. That was it.
What is he most well known for? Because I don't think I've ever read anything from him, but I've definitely heard the name a lot.
Done anything with him? I don't think we have. He's written Gotham Central.
Okay.
Which I think I've pitched that before on the show, or at least mentioned it.
Is that a school one?
No, that is Gotham Academy.
Okay. Oh, this is the police department one. Okay.
Yeah. He's also written a book called Lazarus, which is like a post-apocalyptic. The nation is now divided into like 6 or 7 different sections. Each has like a main like cash crop sort of thing, except they're not all crops. Like one is military, one is pharmaceuticals and stuff like that. But then there's certain people that can like die and come back to life, hence the book being called Lazarus and stuff like that. What else is another good crime book? Let's see. He's written a bunch of Batwoman. I remember that.
Okay.
Action comics, Batwoman, detective comics. Doom to Doom. Let's see what else is on here. I guess I will mention in a sec Queen and Country.
Uh-huh.
We'll get back to that one in a sec here. He also did, where is it? What's it called? It's a crime comic, and someone out there. Here it is. It's called Black Magic. Is another one of his books. It's him and Nicholas Scott. And it's a crime comic with witches.
Ah,
yeah, that's pretty sweet. And he was on a recent run of Wonder Woman.
Okay.
So you and I didn't cover it, but I think me and Paul did on an episode of the Whatnauts podcast back in the day. But yeah, so I was excited to read this. Let's get into a short synopsis, and then we'll get into housekeeping and spoilers. So this follows a badass bisexual detective who has to take care of her brother at home.
And she has a gambling problem.
Yes.
Her name is Dex Parios. She lives in Portland, Oregon. Stumptown is a nickname for Portland because this was a town that grew very fast. And so they were chopping down all of these trees to make all of these houses. And they were planting new trees, but they couldn't get there fast enough. So there was just a period of time in the whatever hundreds where the town was just full of tree stumps.
That's fascinating. Yeah, so so we read volumes 1 and 2. I think to date there are only 3 volumes. So we almost read all of it. But the first volume covers one case. The second volume covers another case.
Mm-hmm.
They end up being a little bit more connected than she realizes. But the first case, she has to find a missing girl. She is hired by the owner of the casino that she has racked up a huge gambling debt at to go find her granddaughter. And so she goes to find her and get her back. She gets mixed up with MS-13, which is a big gang. And actually, fun fact: where I grew up in Virginia, there was a big MS-13 presence. But yeah, it's just she gets mixed up and stuff like that. And volume 2 is a case about a missing baby, except it's not a baby in what you would think it is. It's a band member who has lost her guitar and she wants to get it back. And you're probably saying, well, that seems like a lame case. More to it than meets the eye, just like Transformers. Yeah, do you want to add anything else to synopsis stuff?
That mostly covers it. It's just her dealing with her brother, her friend on the police force, and the various people involved in the cases. I think we're still growing a cast of supporting characters. So that's mostly it.
Yeah. I think even though there's only 3 volumes out right now, I think he has a number of cases planned and stuff like that. He mentions that in the back of the books from time to time. He's like, I have more stories.
Yeah.
I just don't think he's gotten time.
Certainly seems busy.
Making it work. Yeah.
I like these 2 cases. I like that the first one is more straightforward, more noir flavored, classic PI thing, a little bit more dramatic. In the second one, it's Rockstar loses her cherished guitar, is a little quirkier. It's a little bit, I mean, there's still plenty of danger and seedy characters, but it's like a little bit of a lighter story.
Yeah, it seems much more less classic crime noir, and more like that second one specifically really made me feel like I was in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
With that book, because it has the like Nirvana grunge rock kind of thing going on, but it's this kind of unorthodox crime story that's going on there. So there you go. I just want to say before we move on to housekeeping, I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
I thought it was just a good bite size. Hey, if you want a quick crime story, here you go. You can read volume 1. I felt like you could also kind of pick up in volume 2 and just read that. It's neat that each volume is its own case. They do end up connecting a little bit by the end, which is kind of what I'm excited to see from the TV show, of how they're gonna start weaving all of this together, and if they will have that big overarching plot there. Let's get into housekeeping. Last week, here on the Whatnauts review show, we covered Rubber. Do you want to tell them about that one?
Rubber is a movie about a tire that gains sentience and the ability to make things explode with his mind. So it's about a tire rolling around a desert community on a killing spree. And then there's a group of people on a hill watching him with binoculars as this sort of like weird meta audience. It's a weird movie, but it's absolutely delightful.
It is wild. We enjoyed that a lot. It was a lot of fun to get to talk about that one. It is the perfect movie to put on when you really don't want to think about anything. Or you're at a party and you just want to put something on in the background because it's stupid fun, and you're drunk or something like that. It is perfect for that. Let's see. We just recorded an episode of the Captain's Log, in which we learned facts about Virginia. And that may seem boring at first until we learned about the sexual energy of Virginia.
We didn't learn it. We discovered it.
We discovered it, yeah.
Yeah. So it's about weird Virginia facts, and also we talked about other podcasts we like to listen to.
Yes, we did talk about that as well. Let's see. We haven't had a new episode of it in a while, but I also want to give a shout out to our other podcast, the Reactor Core. You guys can find our podcast just by searching the Whatnauts wherever you get your podcasts, and our shows will come up. You can find out more info at thewhatnauts.com, and patreon.com/thewhatnauts is where you can support us. You can get access to the live streams of this show, and you can be watching it live with us. Let's see. We also have exclusive content at the $3 tier. We just recorded a fantastic episode of the Captain's Log that is Patreon exclusive, and we found out which Sailor Moon Scouts we are, and it was a lot of fun. The results may surprise you. But enough of housekeeping for now. Let's get into spoilers. There we go. You know what I forgot to do? I forgot to do our social media thing. So I'm gonna hit that button too, so our social things can pop up on screen. So Melissa.
Yes.
Where do you want to start with this book? What stood out to you?
I want to talk about its use of setting.
Sure.
Because I don't know if I've ever seen anything set in Portland besides Portlandia, which is very different.
I've seen a number of things set in the like Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
I don't think they say exactly.
Yeah.
Or I guess I also just finished watching Zombie, which is in Seattle. But
yeah, like I've also seen things in the general Pacific Northwest, but not Portland specifically.
Yeah.
And we don't see terribly much of it in these two books, which is a weird thing to say. I mean, like, she doesn't go anywhere else. It's not like these are bottle stories where she's inside a building the whole time. She's out and about there. But did you get a lot of flavor of the city itself in the comics?
Not to my liking. If that makes sense. Like you said, I don't think it was enough to really explore the city, but I feel like it was enough to really just be like, hey, we're set in Portland. I was like, all right, cool. And then that was it.
And it might just be something where I don't have enough firsthand experience to recognize all the things it's putting in that are so clearly Portland.
Sure, yeah.
Like, there's a lot of personality there, and I think if I wasn't told it was Portland, I might still be able to target it towards, yeah, I think it's the Northwest, but I don't know. Like, I don't know how much of it is like, we are very clearly here and we are nowhere else. We've got this, and you could never have this element if it was set in a different city.
Yeah. So the things that stood out to me in terms of like, hey, this is in Portland, or at least the Pacific Northwest, is the casinos. Are there a lot of casinos where you live?
There are a lot of casinos, but the casino they're a fun time. Have you ever been in one, like on a vacation or anything?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I think they're fun. I don't go to them often, but I think they're fun. Just bright lights and glitz and really sweet cocktails and things like that.
Right.
We do have casinos, but we do not have any American Indian casinos like she goes to. And I did like that combination. Like we've all, whether we've been to one or not, we've all heard of American Indian casinos. And, the casino connection is something that shows up in like crime stories a lot, but I had
Right.
not yet before seen those two things put together.
I'm sure there's tons of examples
Yeah,
out
I
there. I'm
probably just
just
haven't
not
gotten to them, but
familiar. Yeah.
this might be run of the mill for somebody else. But I did like that. That was something fresh for me. I wish we would have
Okay.
seen more of it in these first two volumes.
Yeah, because it's speaking of how the book was described differently from
Yeah.
to you and me. The one thing, yeah, like I kind of expect the description of the book to be indicative of things that are reoccurring in the actual
Yes.
series, and we only really get mention of her gambling problems within the first couple pages, and then that's it.
Yeah,
We
it
don't
is
really see much of it after
it's the
that.
setup to case one. And soon she's embroiled in the case and she's doing it for the sake of the case and no longer for the sake of this will pay off my gambling debts. So it really is
Right.
just an initial setup and then it doesn't follow through with it. Like I would have liked to have seen any other indication that this is a problem she has because it also does not it's I mean if you have a gambling problem it's not like oh I paid off all my debts I'm done trying to gamble anymore. It's like no she would be back there even if she's not back at that casino. You might see her buy a lotto ticket or bet on a sports game or something like that. I would imagine, again, not having firsthand experience with any of this.
Yeah. I'm wondering if in volume 3 and as these stories
Hmm.
start to get more connected, if that will come up again, because we see this Moreno character, like the cases are starting to be connected, and she's starting to be a thorn in his side. So I'm wondering if he's gonna start taking more note of her and her habits, and somehow using that and manipulating it. If that will somehow become a problem down the road.
Yeah, and I really like Sue Lin, who's the head of that casino.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's connected to a series of other casinos. So who are her contemporaries? Who are her colleagues at those other places? She's a lot more benevolent than Moreno is.
Yeah.
I'd like to
Let's
see her
see.
come back as some sort of power figure throughout these stories.
Speaking of connections,
Mm-hmm.
um, this comic Stumptown, it says here, blah blah blah, featuring it takes place in the same continuity as Rucka's novel Fistful of Rain and
Mm-hmm.
Atticus Kodiak novels, by the virtue of sharing minor characters. So I'm looking up Atticus Kodiak on Wikipedia, and it says Atticus is the fictional protagonist of a series of novels written by Greg Rucka. The series concerns Atticus's career as a professional bodyguard.
Mm.
So let's see. Is Fistful of Rain in this one? Fistful of Rain, 2003, stars Miriam Mim
Oh,
Baraka, a
yeah.
rock star with a troubled past who returns home from a tour to have her life derailed by a stalking voyeur and a murder. Rucka
Yes.
has revealed there is a very oblique link between Critical Space and Fistful. So oblique, in fact, just about everyone in the world missed it, I think. So the Kodiak universe is, in fact, the same universe as Mim Baraka's.
And she's the client in the second volume of these
Yeah,
comics.
interesting.
Neat. Yeah, they talk about all the stuff she's been through, and it didn't seem to me like, little footnote, read about this previous adventure in this novel, true believers. It seemed like it was just natural backstory for this character.
Yeah. It's neat though that he's kind of building up his own world there, and like I love when writers do stuff like that, or like reuse characters and stuff like that. It's like, oh my god, it's this guy.
And this goes back to what I was saying earlier about the setting. I imagine that's also set there in Portland or the nearby Pacific Northwest. And the first volume has an introduction, I think, by Matt Fraction. Did you read that?
I read the first like paragraph, and then I was just like, I'm not in the mood.
I don't always want to read a big long forward to something I have never read before. Like, I want to read it and then go back once I have some context, and then I always forget to go back to it. But I did start reading it, and he talks about how when he started reading these comics, he had been in the Pacific Northwest, like he'd been in Portland, and he's like, this is so absolutely true. Yeah. And so I know there's got to be something, like a real embodiment of the setting within these stories, but I think it's using things that like I can't identify as, oh, that's classically Portland.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I skipped the forward, and I was really interested in the stuff at the back of each issue, but I also didn't read that because, again, I was not in the mood. My brain was just like, no, not today.
One of these...
Go ahead.
At the end of the first volume, there's a lot of promotional materials that they created for when they were first selling this comic, and one of it is... it's a page from the Yellow Pages. It's like business listings for private detectives, and there's a big ad for Dex on there. But you'll look at all of the other names and phone numbers that are included around it, and they are all other famous fictional detectives.
That's fantastic. I like that a lot. They had I saw they had like a package of like promotional materials. One was a small miniature comic that you had to read with a magnifying glass, which they included in this thing at a at a normal size.
Thank goodness.
But it would have been fantastic to actually have that little small comic and the detective, the magnifying glass. That would have been a joy to pick up and just be like, this is so fun. So let's talk about the first case.
Yeah.
Case number 1. She's hired to go find the granddaughter of the casino owner, and it's kind of a what I liked about it is it started in the middle of the case.
Yeah.
Which is a fairly common thing for books to start with the action in media res. But it is one of those things where she gets shot and you don't know what happens, so you don't know if that's the very end of the case or something like that. But it turns out it's only like halfway in, and she had on a vest. But that, I think, was a good start, a good introduction to the character, because she's still like, she almost had this like knowing sense of just like, oh, this is gonna be a rough night, right? Like she knows she's not actually going to die, but it's just this this attitude that she has that really shines through, that I think helped give Dex some good character. But then she goes to the missing girl's house, and that's kind of how things really get started, where she starts getting mixed up in the stuff, because that's where she meets the people that shoot her.
Yeah.
What did you think of those two characters? I don't remember their names. It was like
God,
Brad and something. Let me see if I can.
Oh, one of them's called like the whale, and the other one just says,
Brad and the whale.
Just some man name. I don't know.
Let's see. Answer forward, Matt Fraction.
I did appreciate how they're just sort of thug guys. Like, they're very normal looking, like, burly 50-year-old men.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot about these stories that do feel very naturalistic, which I like. Like, none of the villains are, like, cartoony in any regard.
No. I don't think so.
Mm-hmm. I really like, it is Moreno, right? That crime boss in the first book.
Yes.
I liked him a lot. I just like the way he's set up. I love his mansion that's like on a hill, like overlooking the ocean, and it's got that big pool where his daughter's swimming around, and he has this telescope, and he's always like looking out at the horizon with this telescope, which is great. Like, that's a classic villain accoutrement. I dig that a lot. I've seen lots of things like that, but I don't think I've seen exactly that.
It kind of gives you this ominous feeling, but he's one of those crime bosses that it's like, we all kind of know you're up to something, but we don't know what exactly, and we can't really tie you down to it. But just this idea of him kind of looking out at the horizon or at the stars, there is this like sense of longing for opportunity.
Yes.
Which is exactly what a businessman would want, right? He wants what is on the horizon. He wants what's next. He wants the next big thing. He wants riches, and he wants the stars. He wants it all, right?
Yeah, and that's, I think, having the telescope, like, if that is so observant that it is ominous, like he's always watching you. He can see you no matter how far away you get. But a telescope is also, it's a tool of learning. Like, there's something noble to a telescope. Oh, I think it's a very nuanced prop and habit that he has.
Yeah, it is. I'm showing a couple of the pages on the YouTube version, and he's out there looking at his telescope. His daughter's swimming in the pool. He's just like, it's a great view.
Mm-hmm.
Cause it's one of those ones where he seems like he's hands off for most of the operations. He's not the one getting his hands dirty, and sometimes those are not the creepiest but the scariest ones.
Yes,
because it's so, like, it's one of those things. It's like, I know it's you, I know it, but I can't get if
your own hands aren't dirty, it's so much harder for me to pin something on you.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of his daughter and his son? The two, we kind of deal with them mostly in this book.
I think I like the daughter just as part of a classic noir element. She's got kind of that femme fatale. Like, she steps out of the pool in the bikini and she's flirting with Dex, and then later she's like, oh, I was just flirting with you to throw off Dad's bodyguard, who I know has the hots for me and I don't like him.
Maybe the bodyguard is Atticus in disguise. Dun, dun, dun. Who knows?
Yeah, she felt very classic to me, and just sort of a, I don't know, a warm way. Like, there's things that are hackneyed and there's other things that are like, yes, a pivotal part of the genre tropes. Yes, there it is. Yeah. Comforting to see.
Yeah.
And I did kind of like that the son wanted to be a crime boss, and the dad's like, God, no, you're not good at this. Just go do something else, please. Like,
Dad, I can do it. Put me in, coach.
It's less of, oh, my son, the failure, and more of, please just go. Dad's working. Go sit down somewhere. Just get out of this. Just stay away. What do you want to do? You want any other job? I'll pay for you to have any other job. Just, you're not good at this. Let me do it.
Yeah, which is kind of where the story ends up, right? Mm-hmm. It is this this feud kind of between the daughter and the son.
Yeah.
The son thinking he is the heir to the throne, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, he's not good at it. Turns out the daughter is, but she's like, she's also a woman, and it's very much a kind of thing where they don't want a woman to be head of the crime family, so she's never gonna get that job. So it's this like infighting between them that they found out they could use the granddaughter of the casino owner, and now they're bickering over her.
Yeah.
Like, who can bring the best gift to father?
I also like that the crime of this entire story is that the granddaughter is a anthropology student, and she's going to these local like cultural dig sites.
Belongs in a museum.
And that's what this crime son is doing. He's like using his connection with her to sneak in there and steal these cultural artifacts that he's trying to steal. There was just a nice change from it being like drugs or jewelry or something like that. It's like, yes, I am selling ancient American Indian pottery on the black market.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, hey, that might be one of the things that is like, hey, this is 100% Portland. This is what happens here. You will find someone in a dark trench coat at night being like, hey, you want to buy some pottery? You want an arrowhead? I got it all, man. Come on, dude.
Yeah, I did like that. I did like, we are going to use the local culture to imbue this one very specific crime.
Yeah, that was fun. That was fun. I liked it a lot. Surprisingly, we don't see him much, but I actually like the bodyguard that is at the house, because after the daughter, and I don't remember her name, when she's kind of flirting with Dex, and then Dex says she's perky. I can dig that, and he's just like, you don't want to dig that. He's just like, nope, run away, run far away.
Yeah,
and that's all we see of him. I liked him. Do you want to talk about the brother?
Crime brother?
Dex's.
Oh, yeah, I liked Ansel. He's very sweet. I'm very intrigued to learn more about him and Dex and their past and like who their parents were. Because they really don't. They don't seem to be in the picture at all. And there's the.
I was gonna ask, who's the guy that she gets to come over and
Gray.
help her out?
Gray was my favorite character.
Because I want to know what their kind of relationship is. When we read She-Hulk, a couple of weeks ago, Pug had this like hopeless romantic affection for She-Hulk and for Jen. And I almost got the same vibes with him, that he's kind of in love with Dex, but she's just so oblivious that, and not in like it's a dumb, she's not the dumb blonde kind of way, but she's so focused on work and being a private investigator that she just doesn't notice what's right in front of her. If that makes sense. Not that I necessarily want them to be together, but like, it's just like, oh, he's right there.
I like this dynamic. I like that Gray has these like big shiny puppy dog eyes for her. I get the impression that they've known each other for a long time.
Uh-huh.
So maybe he's been like this for like 10, 15, 20 years consistently, just always puppy dog eyes for her no matter what happens. I kind of like that quiet, sweet, polite, I'm never going to do anything with this, but that's okay. I don't necessarily need to do anything with it. Just like that quiet adoration he kind of has for
Maybe
her.
maybe they made out once at a party in high
Yeah.
school or something, and
Mm-hmm.
he's been hooked
Yeah.
ever since. But she
Yeah.
was
And
just like, I was drunk, I don't remember it.
no, she really does value him as a friend and as
Well,
a
sure, I'm not
as a member of the
saying that,
family.
but
Yeah.
she's just like, look, dude, it stops here. We are friends. That's it.
Yeah. I'm very curious about them. I really like that little family unit.
Yeah, I liked Atticus. I
Ansel.
yeah, Ansel. Oh my god, I'm terrible with names.
I'm like, did
I'm
I miss
so
something? I
bad.
don't think Atticus is in this book.
I am so bad with names. I Do you do that thing where you meet someone and they introduce their name and just immediately after you have no idea what their name is?
Yeah,
I do
you're
that
like,
all the time.
I will do that sometimes. I'm like, it's 5 letters long. I don't know what 5 letters, but that's 5 letters in your name, pal.
Right? Yeah, it's just like I it was 2 minutes ago. How do I not remember this?
We're all like,
Where was I?
think I know what it is, but I'll panic and be like, her name was Crystal. But what if it's Krista? Oh my God, I bet if her name is Krista, she hates being called Crystal by mistake. Am I wrong? Is her name
what
really
if it's
Crystal?
an entirely different rock? What if it's what? Why am I thinking of rocks? What if it's not a rock? What if? That's what I do. I'm terrible with names. I liked Ansel. I do want to see more of him. I don't like. That's the thing. Like, I want to see more of him. I think he's a good character, but I don't necessarily want to see him get involved in any of the cases because I think that would be. I feel like that would be a fairly easy reach of like, hey, here's the younger brother, or just, here's the person that can't really take care of themselves like they would like to. They might be a little vulnerable. Exploiting that would be a real dick move. I'm sure it's going to happen at some point, but I feel like it's too easy of a target.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing, is that if Dex has any enemies, they would certainly go after Ansel, but that is meta-narratively like, oh, that's way too easy.
Yeah. So he's good. I like him.
Yeah.
I want to see more adventures with him. Right?
I'd like to see if there is a case in the future that is like smaller stakes that he could be involved in. Like maybe there's like somebody steals the bike of the kid across the street. Well, that sounds a little too childish, but just something, just a small scale, very close to home little crime that somebody wants Dex's help with, and he's along for that ride.
What if, do you remember when we covered Sweetness and Lightning?
Yeah.
And there's an episode where the father gets sick.
Yes.
And like is completely bedridden. And excuse me, his younger daughter is like, well, shit, I gotta go take care of my dad. I gotta go get medicine. Mm-hmm. And she's like a 5-year-old. And so she just ventures out into the city and is just like, I need to help my dad. And the dad finally wakes up and his kid is gone. And he's just like, oh no, like a panic start again. I would like to see maybe something similar to that where she gets kidnapped or is indisposed in some way for a longer period of time where he panics. Yeah. And is just like, what do I do? She hasn't come home in like 2 days. I can't just keep eating cereal. right? Like there needs to be something else. Something has
Yeah.
happened. Who do I talk to?
I would like that much better than like somebody, harms or kidnaps Ansel to get to Dex. I would like something happens to Dex and then it's like Ansel and Gray are on the case.
Yeah. Yeah. um something like that would be nice. So before we move on to the second case, did you think there was any kind of relationship between Dex and the police officer? I don't remember her name again. I'm terrible with names.
Tracy.
Yes.
That's what I thought initially, because that
seems like they had some kind of past.
Again, I think they might just be good old friends. It seems like maybe they were exes, but I don't know if that's something within the story or if that's just what other narratives have led me to believe is most likely.
Yeah.
I mean, they could be very, very long ago. Maybe they had a crush on
bisexual detective.
Maybe they had a crush on each other when they were like 16 or something, and it's been so long ago that now they do have that very easygoing, amicable relationship. But her and the police chief,
I'm wondering if she used to be an actual cop and then did something to get herself fired, and she was just like, "Fuck it,
There's some sort of a reference to the fact that like she broke up his marriage or something like that. Do you remember this one?
Yeah, I remember that. I just had gears turning in my head. Again, I'm wondering if maybe she still was a cop, started sleeping with what's his name's wife or something like that. It came out. It was a big whole thing. She got fired and was just like, I'm going to be a private investigator.
Mm-hmm. That seems...
get up in my business.
That seems likely to me, yeah.
That seems like something she would do. I'm looking at the pages right now where she is just completely flirting with the doctor as she's sitting there in her bra. She's like, I was hoping you would cop a feel. Like... Yeah, he's taking it in stride too. Like he's not flirting back necessarily, but he's responding in a positive way,
like
where
he's
I will
just
go
like,
along maybe next time. Yeah.
I did like what just a good-natured open flirt she is sometimes.
Yeah, she's a lot of fun. All right, let's move on to case number 2, because we've already been recording for about 50 minutes or so here. Case number 2, Mims, or Mim. Yeah, Mim. So this case, what did you think was going on here in this case? Because as I was reading this, I do the thing with all detective shows. I love it when I can almost solve it myself. So I'm always like, I wonder who did it. Is it that guy? What are his motives? Is it this person? No, it can't be them. They weren't there. Stuff like that. The thing that really, really struck me as strange was the drummer in that. I thought he was going to be somehow more involved. He was real creepy, real shady, of just like, you're up to something, dude. What is going on there?
I thought the drummer was a social lead instead of like a plot lead. Like he is there because he's concerned about his friend, the guitarist. And so he goes straight to Dex saying, hey, I heard that she hired you. I just wanted to come and see for myself. Is everything okay? Is there any information I can give you? This is kind of the deal with Mim. This is her backstory. This is her context. Like, I just want to make sure you're really watching out for her. Like, he does that. And he also has this... He is very open with her. Like, he's so friendly right off the bat. And it didn't read to me as like, he's secretly wrapped up in this. He's a criminal of some kind, and more like flirtatious, which he is. Like, I thought it was purely like, he's here as a potential future love interest for Dex.
Okay. I can see that. Yeah, he it seemed like he was a little bit flirty, not as open with it, but just very sly with
Yeah.
it. But yeah, like he I I didn't jump straight to, oh, he's the one. He is the criminal. He stole it. It was more like, I think he knows more than he's letting on.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was very sincere in the, like, I do just want to look after Mim, like, she, for whatever their relationship is, like, she is one of my best friends, but she can kind of go off the rocker every now and then, right? So just like, I just want to make sure that you're actually going to help her and she's not just off on some tear that's going to end up hurting her. But yeah, I felt like he knew more than he was letting on, and I'm wondering if he still does, especially since these cases are starting to connect.
Yeah, I really don't think we're done with that band. And now that you've told me that Mim is one of the lead characters in one of Greg Rucka's novels, the things that I saw as hints for the future might be like a nod to something that has already happened. But it seems to me like we are not done with this band, because there's that lead singer who they're talking about a lot, but who we see very little of, actually.
Yeah.
Like, we see her performing at the beginning and she like storms off the stage because like the manager's trying to talk to her and like she's mad at the manager. And we get the impression that she's like very, she's maybe kind of a hothead. Like, she has a lot of like trysts and dalliances, and is a very passionate, perhaps unreliable sometimes person, very high maintenance, because like Dex will be asking all these questions about Mim and they're like, oh well, Mim wouldn't do that. The lead singer would, but that's another thing. Like, they keep talking about her and we really do not get to know her.
Right. Did we ever find out who actually put the drugs in the guitar case? I don't remember, because I know that was one of the remaining questions of just like, all right, well, we arrested these skinhead people or whoever it was, I forget who. We know that they were looking for the drugs, and the guy that found them was not actually smuggling them. He just ditched it. Who actually put them there? Did we?
No, I think that part also is missing. I think there's still a hint. Like, we know that whatever it is connected back to Moreno, but there is a middle link of this chain missing.
Okay, so
like, who is it connected to Moreno?
Be the lead singer, or it could potentially be this drummer. We don't know.
Or anybody else, on that band team. Yeah, I did like, and this was a case where we didn't have all the information we needed until the very end. And as we just said, we still don't have all the information we really need. But there's that one roadie who like found the drugs and was like, I don't know what this means, but it's bad news. It's got to be bad news. And he just like throws the drugs in the river because he just loves the band and he wants to like watch out for his friends.
Yeah.
I liked that. I
really need this job, man.
Yeah. I like that throughout the story, no matter how many like seedy characters and crimes we run into, there's still a lot of very good people in the story.
Yeah.
Like, it never feels overly grim, which is an interesting juxtaposition to those afterwards that Greg Rucka wrote after every one of these issues, where he's talking about the general theory of the private detective art and how they live in this like Wild West, and they're out there on the edge and they're shining a light on the dark truths of society. Like, he's describing something far more ominous than what he is actually writing.
I think he's getting there, though.
Yeah.
I think that's also partly what he's getting at, is that with each volume, we're getting deeper and deeper into this thing where Dex is eventually gonna start piecing this together and being like, oh shit, it is this Moreno guy. He is the one. There is some big not conspiracy per se, but there is something happening here, and it is a lot more ominous than we thought. It might be the entire town, right? It might be something else, right? Which it is like I kind of skimmed through, I think, that first afterword where he was more or less talking about their code, the detectives' code. Like, they need to have this conviction of, it doesn't matter if they're a good person or bad person, as long as they have this specific code, right? They can potentially make a good PI. That's not exactly what he said, but just skimming through, that's kind of what I picked up, or at least some themes of what he was picking up. And here we see this private investigator who's she maybe doesn't have her life where she wants it exactly. She has gambling debts. She has a brother that she needs to take care of. She has little to no romantic life now, right? It seems like she's stuck. If that makes sense, and I think, despite what she may surround herself with and all of these problems and dangerous situations, like, she's trying to do some good, despite what it may actually look like, right? So there. But yeah, what did you think of you mentioned an interesting point that the second case, we didn't have all of the information until the end. What did you think of that versus case number one, where we were kind of unfolding it as it went? Did you like one more than the other?
I think I did. I appreciate that the first case was more like a more traditional sort of PI story. I did like the second one. I liked the much more unique objective of the story. I liked how she keeps finding all these people that are involved, like, what are the skinheads doing here? Why is the DEA in this? Oh, now I've got who left the guitar at my house?
Yeah.
Like, it was weirder. I like that it was sort of an odder case altogether. And again, there's something very naturalistic that we don't have all the pieces we need until the very end. Like, we figure there is a roadie that fulfilled some role within this whole mystery, but we don't know exactly which one until the end.
Right.
And we know it's him the minute we meet him. Like, it's not like, oh, which one of these several people could it be? We've met them all. Which one of them is involved? It's like, I think the drummer's like looking at a list and he's like, I think it would have been this guy, and then we go meet that guy.
Right? Like, well, why don't you start your own private detective service, sir?
And that's also something Greg Rucka says in one of these afterwards. He's like, I'm not very good, admittedly, at like the puzzle piece kind of element of a detective story.
Interesting.
He's like, which is true. I really get this fact that he's very much about, like, who is a PI? What makes a PI story? And less of, here's all the little different building. Like, he's not. He admits he's not the best at setting
characters.
Yeah, he's not the best at setting up like the mousetrap game of, this is everything that happened and when, and this is when you know all the puzzle pieces and when you put them all together.
I can see that for sure. I think he writes fantastic characters. He has excuse me again, I have the hiccups or something. He has a knack for writing very well written female characters, whether it's a detective or it's Wonder Woman or something like that. He always has a good handle on that and makes an effort to put the research into all of that, which a lot of the time, or something like that, there are writers out there who are like, I'm gonna write a strong female protagonist, and it's not written well, right?
Yeah, like they go from strong to tough, and there's a difference between tough and resilient or sturdy
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah,
Like it goes
or overreaching. Like I see what you're trying to do with like, okay,
yeah.
she's more in touch with her sexual nature. I see what
Mhm.
you're going for, but you're doing it way too much, dude. Like
Yeah, like
it's
there's a lot of times when strong leads to aggressive,
yeah.
whether that's like battle aggressive, flirt aggressive, what have you. Like strong leads to aggressive, and she has an attitude. And I like that Dex is a very good-natured person who's like not overly like snarky or bitter or like
She's not the
a
genius
brawler.
detective.
Yeah.
She's not the overly aggressive. Well, fuck you. I'm better than all of you. I
Mm-hmm.
can solve this case. I don't need your help and stuff like that. She wants to do it on her own,
Mm-hmm.
sure, but that sounds like it's more personal
Yeah.
reasons. It's like I want to be left alone. Just like don't bother me. You know.
Yeah.
But he tends to be able to find that middle
Mm-hmm.
ground. But it is, yeah. I now that you mentioned that, I think, yeah, like I end up liking the characters in his books more often. Um,
Mm-hmm.
than I don't want to say than the actual plot, because I do like the plots, but yeah, like
Yeah.
it's never this big elaborate figure out the puzzle pieces at the right times and you
Mm-hmm.
can solve the case before it happens, right?
Yeah.
It is this more down to earth, like let's just take a look at real people.
Yeah.
Let's figure out what's going on here. Let's solve the case that way instead of some grandiose cat and mouse puzzle thing that we have to
Mm-hmm.
solve. So it's good.
Yeah, it's definitely more I need something for this PI character to go and investigate than I've written this beautifully complex mystery. Now I need a detective to go figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. So I like that a lot. I
Mm-hmm.
do have to say, I think in terms of the way the cases play out, I liked the first one. Just I like seeing everything unfold as it
Mm-hmm.
happens rather than it's the last issue and I still don't know what happened. I what's going on here? Who did
Yeah.
this? Who are these guys? That's the bad guy? I've never even met him. What?
Mm-hmm.
You know, but that being said, I think I liked the second one more because I had spent time with those
Yeah.
characters. And it's like, oh, okay, now I know who Dex is. I know how she's going to react. I know who Tracy, the cop, is, and how this is all going to play out. And I start to care about those characters more and what is happening with them. Like this idea
Mm-hmm.
that in the background, Dex is moving into her first official office,
I
and that
did like
it's not
that.
even really mentioned. Like she opened it up that day, and that's when she gets her first case, and
Mm-hmm.
her room is just filled with boxes. That's it.
Yeah.
So I liked seeing that stuff a lot, because I'm like, oh, you're actually going somewhere with this. Like
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't just feel like a detective story in the sense of like, all right, we wrapped up the case, that's it. But it does have this slice of life portion where I can see her evolving,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense. So I don't know if I have much else to say on the book. Do you have something else you want to talk about before wrapping this up here?
No, I liked it. We only read the first 2 volumes. I gladly would have also read volume 3. Maybe I'll
Yeah.
find it someday. And I do really want to check out this TV series.
Yeah. Starring Kobe Smulders.
Mm-hmm.
That should be good. Melissa, if you had to recommend some stuff to other people that liked this book, what would you recommend to them?
We've covered other detective stories on the show before. that are that are very, very different than this. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking of Spencer and Locke and Happy,
Yeah,
which
very different
are
from this.
wild, wild tales. So basically, the fact that they are detective comics is the only thing in common with them. But still, oh, that's what I was thinking of this
Sure.
whole time. Like, oh, well, it's remember Happy.
That
this is so much more normal than that.
yeah, Happy is more of a trip.
Yes. Yeah.
You're kind of on drugs most of that
Yeah,
time,
like that's
but
what I was thinking about. Like there are stories that have like these kind of trappings of noir like Spencer and Locke does, or it's like we made the character a detective and that's really just a kind of a framework to send them on this wacky journey like in Happy. It
yeah,
was nice to read this where it's like I am sincerely committed to telling a private investigator story and I've really studied the theory of what makes a private investigator story.
exactly.
Yeah, this is a lot more thoughtful and sincere about it. But if you just want, I don't know, somebody throwing on a trench coat and going to investigate something, and you don't care how weird it is, you could read Happy or
There you
Spencer
go.
and Locke.
Good detective stories. I believe Volume 2 of Spencer and Locke is all
Oh
out
yeah.
now. Um, so there you go. I would recommend Jessica Jones.
Ah.
This is a very similar story where she is a private investigator. She is this woman who is not necessarily down on her luck, but just kind of doing her thing. Life
Mm-hmm.
maybe isn't exactly where she wants it to be, but she's genuinely trying to do good in the world, even though she might be an alcoholic or
Mm-hmm.
might be this or that, you know. Um, but there are some interesting stories in that. So if you want the Netflix show, you can absolutely watch that. Or if you want the comics that it is based on, you should go read Alias, which is Brian Michael Bendis's introduction of Jessica Jones into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I mean,
Mm.
Marvel Comics universe. Excuse me, not cinematic. Um, anything else? What would I recommend?
You like a lot of detective stuff.
I do like a lot of detective stuff. I don't know. I think I'm too stuck on like needs to be a woman who's a detective who's a this and that and stuff like that. And I don't think that always needs to be the
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
case to recommend. Um, what's another good detective thing that I like? I don't know. I think Jessica Jones is the one that just sticks out. Like you have
Yeah,
to
she's
recommend
quite
that one.
prolific.
Yeah. Um, I don't know why, but my brain keeps going back to Bad Guys Vile City, but that is very different. Oh well. Go check out that stuff if you enjoyed this book, and be sure to go check out the premiere. See what that's like.
Yeah.
Melissa, it
Yes.
is your turn to do the pitches for what we might do next week.
So I've decided to begin the Halloween season in earnest now.
There we go. I think that works out, right? Let's look at the calendar. If we okay, well the 29th, which means it would come out on the 2nd. So yeah.
Yeah.
October 2nd. That
Mm-hmm.
starts
Let's get
spooky
started.
month.
Yeah, I've I've done some horror related things recently. I think Rubber is categorized as a horror movie. We watched The
Yeah.
Terror, we watched Annihilation, but now I am sincerely committed to building spooky themes of pitches every week from here till the end of October.
Mm-hmm.
And in our time together on this podcast, we've covered a variety of monsters. Frankenstein,
Okay.
Wolfman, ghosts, demons, aliens, everything they put in Gravity Falls. Lots of stuff. We have not covered a vampire.
We haven't.
So,
Interesting.
yeah, and this is my favorite of the classic monster types. So I have for you three vampire movies.
Sure.
And these are some classics, some heavy hitters, and like why not start with the big ones? Pitch number 1 is Bram Stoker's Dracula, the 1992 film directed by Francis Ford Coppola. This is the classic tale of Dracula. Young barrister Jonathan Harker is assigned to a gloomy village in the mists of Eastern Europe. He is captured and imprisoned by the undead vampire Dracula, who travels to London inspired by a photograph of Harker's betrothed, Mina Murray. In Britain, Dracula begins a reign of seduction and terror, draining the life from Mina's closest friend, Lucy. Lucy's friends gather together to try and drive Dracula away. So this is everything you've heard of. I think Van Helsing's in it. We got Keanu Reeves. We got Gary Oldman with his big, big hair.
There you go.
It's the classic. You got to start with the Dracula.
Okay, that's pitch number 1, Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Pitch number 2 is Interview with the Vampire. This one's from 1994, Good Vampire Times in the 90s. Directed by Neil Jordan, written by Anne Rice based off her own novel. Against the backdrop of a gloomy San Francisco, the nearly 2-century-old vampire, Louis de Pointe du Lac, recounts the unbelievable story of his eternal transformation and a life worse than death to a skeptic reporter, spanning 200 years of cruel betrayals, extreme solitude, and unquenched thirst. Lewis's grimly fascinating tale pivots around his perpetually regrettable decision to embrace the dictatorship of blood and above all his maker, the seductive blonde aristocrat of death Lestat to lie in court. I love the way this description is written. Thanks, IMDb.
That, in my mind, that just it started out totally fine and then just devolved into like gibberish. Like I have no idea what is going on
basically
here.
Okay, so Brad Pitt is vampire, Tom Cruise is vampire. We follow the last like 2 centuries of their life rotating around each other in the small culture of vampires. There's many a vampire in this. Kirsten Dunst, I think, is like a girl vampire, like a little girl vampire. Antonio Banderas is in it. He's always a delight. Yeah, it's just vampire. Okay. It's just like angst and like a frilly shirt vampire and like shadows.
Frilly shirts.
Yeah, it's exactly my kind of thing.
Okay.
Interview with a Vampire.
That's pitch number 2. What's pitch number 3?
And a slightly more contemporary and more casual type of vampire we see in pitch number 3, What We Do in the Shadows, the movie from 2014. This is now a TV series, but I wanted to start with the movie. This movie is directed by Jermaine Clement and Taika Waititi. This follows the lives of Viago, Deacon, and Vladislav, 3 flatmates who are just trying to get by and overcome life's obstacles, like being immortal vampires who must feast on human blood. Hundreds of years old, the vampires are finding that beyond sunlight catastrophes, hitting the main artery and not being able to get a sense of their wardrobe without a reflection, modern society has them struggling with the mundane, like paying rent, keeping up with the chore wheel, trying to get into nightclubs, and overcoming flatmate conflicts. So we have 2 classic angsty vampire dramas and one just like modern slice of life, just a bunch of dudes comedy where they happen to be vampires.
Yeah. Interesting. You threw a wrench into my decision when you mentioned Taika Waititi.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm going to stick with what I originally thought, and I say we start with the classic.
Yeah.
Go Bram Stoker's Dracula.
I also want to let you know, I went looking up horror comics last year for things I was thinking of pitching. Mm-hmm. I came across a comic adaptation of this movie done by Mike Mignola.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
You don't have to do. I just thought I'd let you know this is a neat thing that's out there. If you're like, I want more of this, but I want to read it and have it look like Hellboy, you can.
There you go. Good stuff. So, do you know if this is streaming anywhere or?
I did not look it up because I'm certain it must be somewhere. And if you can't stream it online, check your local library.
Yeah.
It's based off quite a famous book. I imagine they'd even have more than one copy of it.
Sure. I wouldn't put it past them. That is what we will do for next week then. Dracula by Bram Stoker's. Yeah, I'm excited for that. That will kick off our Halloween month. I'm sure we're going to be doing a bunch of horror stuff for that whole month. So get excited for all the spookiness.
Yeah.
That's going to be a lot of fun. Melissa, where can they find you on the interwebs?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at WilkyWit. That's WILKYWIT.
And I am at Yo Kyle Springer on Twitter and Instagram. You guys can find us at the Whatnauts on Twitter. I mentioned all of the housekeeping stuff for most of it, so we do want to give a big shout out to our Patreon supporters at the $5 tier. Thank you to Sam and to Christine for helping us out and allowing us to make all of these awesome podcasts.
Thank you.
So, there we go. That being said, we will get out of here. We will see you guys next week with episode 77 of the Whatnauts Review Show. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching that video. We hope you like it. We hoped you like it. Yeah, I guess that's right. Why did that sound so strange to me? Who knows? We go like, share, subscribe, do all the things. Go comment below what your favorite God damn it, I cannot speak today. Go let us know what your favorite detective novel or story is. Go subscribe to our channel up here and go watch one of our other podcasts down there because there are a whole lot more where that came from. We'll see you next time.